Okay, today I'm going to present about my research from with my research colleague, Sujang Hong. We studied our attitudes, customers' attitudes toward green marketing, advertisement. So we delved into the effect of message framing and also mindset to better understand how negative or positive framing affect different people with different mindset. So our research motivation or background is that we see a lot of negative framing in terms of the green advertisement. So I wondered whether it's really effective or not, since we tend to more focus on maybe negative or harmful side of the environmental outcomes to promote or to make them participate in collective efforts. However, we see positive framing and negative framing. So we can actually, in terms of the green advertising, we can choose positive framing or negative framing. We try to test what a message framing actually works better. According to prior researches, actually the results are conflicting. That some people tend to show positive attitude toward positive framing, while others show positive. Other are more affected by negative framing advertisement. However, in this study, we focus on the cognitive appraisal of environmental appeals, since negative or positive message framing would result in a lot of different effects on, for example, emotions, cognitions, and so on. But in terms of the cognitive appraisal of environmental outcomes or environmental appeals, we thought that positive or negative message framing would result in differential appraisal of hope or collective outcome. The notion that we can achieve the environmental outcomes, or we can make changes, these kind of things. Since in environmental problems, we think that the most difficult challenge to overcome is the notion that our behaviors or efforts are just a drop in the ocean. This kind of perception deters us to participate or probably have negative attitudes toward green advertisement. For example, we see negative message framing of the green advertisement, and we feel that, yes, that's maybe tragic, but however, even though I put my effort, it doesn't really make any changes. So that's the psychological mechanism we try to investigate. So hope-based appeals have proven effective in actually climate change preventions. And positively framed message evokes feeling of hope, which in turn shape consumers' attitudes and promote behaviors. So we assume the hope as the core psychological mechanism of positive message framing works better in our assertion. Another factor we delve into is mindset, since mindset affects how people form hope as well. For example, fixed mindset thinks that circumstances are alternable, while growth mindset thinks that their situation can be actually modified or can be changed. So we thought that maybe mindset moderates this effect of hope on attitudes toward green advertisement. So this is a brief overview of our research. The main effect, positive framing versus negative framing enhances attitude toward green advertising. And psychological mechanism, we looked into hope, which is a mediator in here. And again, we visit fixed mindset versus growth mindset as a possible moderator in this psychological mechanism. So the model looks like this. Positive versus negative message framing leads to attitudes toward green advertising mediated by collective outcome expectancy, which is similar to hope. I think it's better to understand that as a hope, while mindset, growth versus fixed mindset, moderates this effect. So I'll go into hypothesis development. Message framing affects attitude toward advertising. But the thing is that actually, according to many researchers, they tend to assert that negative framing works better. For example, you see here, negative framing is found to be more effective than positive framing in 49%, while 30% assert the opposite direction. So you see slightly people tend to see negative framing would be better for environmental advertising. However, this study mainly focused on emotional process such as shame and threats. But in here, as I explained earlier, we will not deal with this kind of an emotional process. Rather, we focus on hope, since we thought that for environmental challenges, hope or a drop in the ocean notion is the most important challenges that we need to overcome. So, however, in environmental problem, not just emotional mechanism, but also cognitive appraisal, also important. So we focus on cognitive appraisal of environmental appeals. So according to the research, there are several scholars have pointed out that actually positive message elicits hope, which leads to positive behavior for climate change or environmental problems. So based on that, we come up with the first hypothesis, which is about the positive message framing works better for attitudes than negative framed message. In here, we propose that collective outcome expectancy would mediate this effect. Collective outcome expectancy is a belief that individuals hold about the likely consequences their group will experience as a result of group's performance of work tasks. So it's basically similar to hope. So here you see mediation effect hypothesis. And for the last, we focused on mindset, which is a belief about whether human traits are changeable or not. So growth mindset people, they think that they are changeable, while fixed mindset don't think so like that. But interestingly, this extends to not just their individual characteristics, but also for their situational forces. For example, growth mindset people, they think that it's possible to change the situation, and they even form a positive attitude even when the situation is not in favor of them, because they can change the situation. While the fixed mindset people are highly influenced by situational factors, which means that if they encounter positive situation, they'll be highly motivated or form positive attitude. If they encounter negative environment, they will not show positive attitudes. So we assume the moderating effect here. And also growth mindset individual, they tend to have positive attitudes even when the possibility of success appears low, while fixed mindset maybe find it challenging to maintain hopeful outlook if the situation is negative. So we see another moderating effect. So for these 4 hypotheses, we implemented 4 studies. I briefly explain all those. So in study 1 and 3, we manipulated positive and negative framing, simply changing this order. So we can change this happen from this to this. This is a positive framing, while the right side is negative framing, advertisement. Maybe people will some kind of a fear or threaten about this. And study 2 and 4, we simply change the sentence to manipulate positive versus negative frame message, improve the environment, or prevent the environmental disaster. So for these 4 studies, we proved how hypothesis supported. In study 1, we proved that the result supported hypothesis 1, which is positive message framing leads to higher more positive attitudes toward the green advertising. Study 2, we basically replicated the finding. You see this graph. In study 3, we tried to reveal the mediation effect. So we did moderation of process approach, which means that if collective outcome expectancy mediates this effect, then this effect should dissipate if the mediator is turned off. So we controlled collective outcome expectancy to be low through this news article, which says that collective efforts for climate crisis is impossible. Is negative news to lower people's expectation about solving climate crisis. So we successfully manipulated, and the result show that in control condition, positive message framing works better. But in low collective outcome expectancy manipulation, the difference was significantly lower than the control scenario, which looks like this graph. So the hypothesis 2, which is a mediation effect, was indirectly supported. In study 4, we manipulated mindset and we tested hypothesis 4. We manipulated people's mindset through this simple scenario. So after participants read this article, they show different types of mindset. So the result shows that so 2x2 ANOVA show that both the main effect of message framing and two-way interaction with mindset and message framing. So for fixed mindset condition, positively framed message and negatively framed message difference was much bigger than growth mindset condition. So the graph looks like this. For growth mindset, they didn't really care about whether the message is negative or positive, but for fixed mindset, they were greatly influenced by the message framing. So we tested the full model. We showed the full model is also valid. So this is the result, and for maybe practical implication for fixed mindset people, or after we manipulate fixed mindset, it is effective to make positive message framing so that they may perceive higher hope of solving the crisis. Thus, matching the appropriate message type to the right target audience will lead to more pro-environmental intentions and behaviors. And second, when the collective outcome expectancy is fixed to be low level, which means that climate crisis seems really unsolvable, and the message framing is negative, it is effective to change people's mindset from fixed mindset to growth mindset, which seems irrelevant, but actually by changing people's mindset, we can change the effect of hope, negative news, or the message framing. Okay, so this is the end of our presentation. Thank you for taking your time.
Hey, excellent work. Thank you for so much for sharing your work with us. We have 2 final presentations, and looks like we're on time.